Welcome back to Wake Up Carolina. We have with us a very familiar and friendly face and voice to many of our listeners. She is Fox News Channel's 2020 election co-anchor. She is also the anchor of The Story each night at 7 p.m. on Fox News, MarthaMacCallum. Martha, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
We're not here to we're going to talk election in just a second, if you'll be patient with me. But the main reason we've got you on this morning is you have decided to become an author and write a book called Unknown Valor. I think it's your first published book. It'll be released February 25th. Why did you decide to write this book? What did you hope to accomplish in writing the book? And what story do you hope to tell?
Well, thank you. It is my first book, and it was quite a epic experience. It took about close to 3 years writing it. And it started because I was always very moved as a child. My mom shared with me the letters that were written by her first cousin, who she was very close to. He was like a brother to her, and his name was Harry Gray. And he was a wonderful young man, like so many wonderful young men across the country who, at 16, 17, 18 years old, lined up at recruiting stations to enlist to go fight in World War II. And he was towards the end of World War II, so he was sent to the Pacific like thousands and thousands of other young men. He really had not spent much time outside of Arlington, Massachusetts, where he had just graduated from high school, and he had a sweetheart girlfriend there named Dorothy. But off he went to Paris Island, like so many other young men, and then across to San Diego, and eventually to Guam, and then to this tiny island of Iwo Jima, which is 8 square miles. And when he was there, he was part of one of the bloodiest battles ever fought by the Marine Corps. And because of that, there were 28 Medal of Honor winners on Iwo Jima. There was a quarter of the Medal of Honors that were given out in the whole Pacific Theater came from that battle at Iwo Jima. So I just always wanted to know more about his story and what happened to him. And incredibly, I never imagined that this would happen, but as I started writing and digging into a couple of the other young men who wrote letters to my grandfather to explain what had happened to Harry, I ended up finding 2 of the men who were with him there, which is incredible because there were 60,000 United States Marines on Iwo Jima, but I subsequently met 2 of them, Charlie Gubish and George Coburn, and interviewed them and got to know them. And they, when I called George Coburn in Florida and told him that I was Harry Gray's niece, he just went silent. He said, "I think about Harry all the time. We were really close." And so we've developed a friendship, and he told me, stories of what happened there. So, it's a very personal story. It's also a history of what happened from Pearl Harbor when everyone in this country was so shocked at the attack. And it goes all the way through Iwo Jima, and the different people who are involved in the story all kind of, you learn about them and you get to know them, and then they all, eventually land together on that tiny island in the Pacific.
Martha, your world consists of politics. My world, to some degree, consists of politics. I guess the business, the art of American politics. We're deeply divided. Fox News is in the middle of that. Some of the other media outlets, talk radio. We all have an obligation and a responsibility to I guess, manage the division as best we know how and being fair and nonpartisan as we can. But I've always felt that when it comes to paying tribute and respect to our men and women of the armed forces, we need to understand the story. Is it fair to say that most of the public don't understand the sacrifices made so we can be as deeply divided as we are?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons that I wanted to write this. I want these stories to continue to live. These men are in their 90s now, and it was just an honor to meet them. And I hope that this is a book that, no matter what your persuasion, I can't really imagine that anyone would be impacted by their persuasion. When they read it, they remember the sacrifices that so many men, and for me, Harry Gray is he's my relative, but there are Harry Grays all across our history, and every family has somebody who sacrificed for this country. And I really want people to, read this story, but also then to dig into their own family stories. And I do think that's a massive unifying force when we all remember the sacrifices that were made, and it makes you realize how precious democracy is and how precious what we have is. Far from perfect, obviously, but we're always striving for a more perfect union. And that's what this is about. So I hope it can be unifying force. And I agree with you. I've never seen the country more divided, and it does disturb me. It really does.
This will be a weird question. It'll be my last question. You host a show on Fox News. You'll be a co-anchor at the 2020 election. How did writing this book improve you or improve the chances of you? In other words, writing this book made you a better anchor person, a better political pundit? If so, how? What did you learn about yourself in preparation for the job you have in writing the book?
Absolutely. And I think that all anchors and anyone who covers the history that we're living in right now benefits from understanding where we came from. And I just think it informs everything that I do. So I've always tried to, read presidential biographies, and I love history. So I think you can't be good at what we do if you don't have a good sense of where we came from.
That's very well said. Martha, good luck with the book. How can people purchase this book when it comes out?
It's actually out. It's already out. It's on Amazon. It came out yesterday, I guess.
Just yesterday.
And it's doing great in any local bookstore and Amazon, anywhere you buy books.
Thank you, Martha. Appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
You too.
We'll take a break. We'll be back after the break. Wake up, Carolina.